my dear friend and Talmud Zachary from New York. So he's
welcome.
He's in with us today. Okay. So first of all, I want to give a thanks and credit to Rav Micha Cohn, whose Mara Makomos, whose sources I am utilizing for this week's Lunch and Learning. On June 6th, a horse by the name of American Pharoah, I assume his parents did not name him that, but the horse by the name of American Pharoah won the Belmont, which made it the first horse to win the Triple Crown in, any racing enthusiasts?
37 years.
37 years. That's correct. 1977 and 78 and 73, there were Triple Crown winners. I remember growing up, and it's etched in my mind that Time Magazine, I think it was in 1973 or 74, the man of the year was Secretariat, right, which is a horse that won the Triple Crown, which gives you an idea about the pool that they had to choose from between if a horse got the number one slot. Okay, now what makes this somewhat intriguing and therefore the source of a lunch and learn is that June 6th happened to have been a Saturday. Okay. Now the Triple Crown means you've won. You're going to be winning the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, I believe, and the Belmont. Right. The Belmont is the third one, and that is the longest one. That is a 1.5 mile run. Okay.
Usually, all of them are on Saturdays.
Could be. Okay. But June 6th is a Saturday, and what makes it somewhat interesting is that the owner of American Pharoah is a Mr. Zayat, an observant Jew, an Orthodox Jew, originally from Egypt. Okay, and therefore the question that comes up is, and I'm sure he did whatever he did, and he spoke to whatever rabbis he spoke to, so I'm not speaking about this individual, but we will be discussing the parameters of the halachos which have to do with an animal racing on Shabbos. Now you might say, I can't do any malacha. What's the problem about what my animal does? Right? Can I? Right? Do horses have to stop grazing on Shabbos? Well, that's malacha. That's Steve, I see you making a face. Is pulling grass out of the ground not a malacha? Oh, so where are we drawing the line, and how are we drawing the line? So let's look at source number one, which is always a good source to begin with, from our Torah itself. Sheshet yamim ta'aseh me'asecha. 6 days you shall do your work. Uvayom hashvi'i, and on the seventh day, tishbot, you shall rest. L'man yanuach, in order that they will rest also shorcha, your ox, chamarecha, your donkey, v'nafesh ben amatcha, right, your maidservant son, the ger, the stranger, all should be refreshed. So we see here that there is a command known as shvitat behema, that your animal has to also keep Shabbos. Now, my brother-in-law's dog, of blessed memory, right? But he loved Friday night. Right? He loved Shabbos, loved the challah, loved the leftover chicken soup. He'd see that Shabbos table getting set on Friday, and he'd be on his best behavior, very, very excited, knowing that some goodies are coming. But here we're talking about not just enjoying the challah and the chicken soup, but we're talking about desisting from doing any malacha. So let's now go to the Rambam. And I have the Rambam both in Hebrew and in English, so feel free to follow along as you feel most comfortable. Asur halacha aleph. This is Rambam, the Laws of Shabbos, chapter 20. Asur lahotzi masa al behema b'Shabbos. It's prohibited to send out a package on your animal on Shabbos. Shneimar, as it says, l'man yanuach shor v'chamorech v'chol behemtecha. Right, your animals all need to rest on Shabbos. Echad shor v'echad chamor v'echad kol behema chaya v'of. If you got a carrier pigeon, that's also a problem, right? If you have, Rabbi mentions oaf, birds, any animal that you own, you can't have it doing malacha for you. If one did send it out on a behema, on an animal, okay, the Rabbin's getting a little bit technical over here and saying it's absolutely prohibited, but there will not be any lashes administered for someone breaking this, because lashes are only administered for a lav, for a don't. So if you do a don't, that's where a lash is here. There's no don't in the pasuk. The pasuk is telling, it's called an asay. It is a do. It's telling you what should be done. And therefore, breaking that will not involve lashes. The Rabbi in Halacha Beth speaks about there is also a lav, right? Which is said by many in the Kiddush that said Shabbos morning. Either is an explicit lav in the Torah, as it says, Lo ta'aseh kol malacha, don't do any malacha ata you, bincha, bitecha, son, daughter, avdecha, mascha, maid servants, uvehem techa, and your animals. So there is actually a lav, a prohibition, right? Shlo yachrosh ba v'kiyotze b'charisha, nimsa v'nimsa lav, shenitein la'asharat mitas beizim ein loken alav. Okay. This is a don't for the desecration of Shabbos, which would lead to capital punishment. So therefore, once again, in a technical basis, there is no lashes. Even in a case where there is not going to be, where there will not be capital punishment. Famously, the Mishnah in Makot, in the tractate of Makot, says that a basin that kills once in 7 years was considered Texan, right? It was considered murderous. That was a murderous beis din, right? And the other opinion says not once in 7 years, but once in 70 years. Okay? But even in a case, if one does an infraction which could feasibly have brought about a death punishment, a capital punishment, there are no lashes. Okay. Yeah.
So, if we are allowed to transport, if there's an eruv, so if we loaded in an eruv, if we loaded our beast, is that okay?
Gimel. Also Yisroel lahashil o lahaschir behema gasa lenachri. Interesting. A Jew is not allowed to lend or to rent a behema gasa, a large animal which does work, to a Gentile. The concern will be that the Gentile is
working the animal.
Is going to work my animal on Shabbos.
Yeah.
It's not just an issue that I can't work the animal. My animal is not allowed to be working on Shabbos. Shlo yaseh b'malacha b'Shabbos. Farhei mitzuva, I'm commanded al shvitas behemto, on my animal not working. Now, asru chachamim limkor behema gasel anachri. The sages even went as far to say that one should not sell such a large animal, because once I can sell, I'm going to think, well, selling and renting is really a sale for a period of time, and once I could rent, then I could also lend, right? So therefore they were concerned that it might lead to lending or renting, and therefore we are not allowed to even lend these large working animals or rent to a Gentile, lest my animal will be forced to work on Shabbos.
Excuse me, is this for life, that animal? For life. As long as a Jew owns
If it's my animals cannot work on Shabbos.
For the life of the animal.
As long as I own it.
As long as I own it, right.
You sold it, you don't own it anymore, it doesn't matter.
Correct. But I'm not, but the Rabbanan said I'm not allowed to sell it to a non-Jew. I can sell it to a Jew, just not to a non-Jew.
You can't sell your animal to a non-Jew.
That's what we said. Gimel, right? The Chachamim prohibited selling the large working animal to a non-Jew, lest one will come to also lend and or rent. Okay, one last point that's going to be important, and then we'll delve into this a bit. Halacha Dalid. Umutar limkor lahem sus. But a horse that one can sell. Why? Because the normal usage of a horse is it's transport, carrying, give someone a ride. Hasus omid ela l'rechivat adam. The sus is there for a person to ride on. V'lo l'masui. It's not a beast of burden. It's not to carry things around. V'achai nosei et atzmo. We have a concept that something that is living carries itself. It's not considered a full Torah level of carrying when one is carrying a live, something that is alive. Okay. Now, there is also another concept called mechamer. And mechamer is when I direct an animal with a giddy up. I verbally, or I direct, I cause an animal to go ahead and do some work. So there are two different, sometimes overlapping isurim, prohibitions. One is my animal working, and that is a prohibition whether I'm the one who's working the animal or someone else is working the animal. One is my animal, cannot be working. Another one, and that's regardless of who is the one who's making it work. Now, mechamer is that a Jew cannot direct an animal to work, regardless of who that animal belongs to. Now, the Pnei Yehoshua, we're going to see there are two opinions over here. The Pnei Yehoshua is one of the later commentaries on the Talmud, on the Gemara. The Pnei Yehoshua understands that that both of these prohibitions, Shvitat Behema, the animal resting, and Mechamer, are only when the animal is doing one of the 39 malachot. One of those 39 main creative activities, creation activities, that we desist from doing them on Shabbos.
Is that authoritative? Is that really?
We'll see. So if a non-Jew plows a field with my animal, plowing is one of the 39. It's not mechamer. I'm not telling the animal to do anything, but it is shvitat behema. It's my animal should have been resting, and it's not resting. If I command a non-Jew's animal to carry something through the public domain, I give a giddy-up, right? I call out the order, right? And I cause it to go, right? You know, the Shema Yisroel and the Baruch Hashem orders for a horse.
Yeah.
There was a horse that whenever it would go, in order to make it go, you'd say Shema Yisrael. Right? And whenever you wanted to stop, right, you'd say Baruch Hashem. Am I getting backwards?
No.
When you wanted it to go, you'd say Baruch Hashem. When you wanted it to stop, you would say Shema Yisrael. Right? And this guy's riding on a horse, and he's having a great time. He says, Baruch Hashem, and the thing is going and going, and he's getting closer and closer to the cliff. And he's like, how do I make it stop? And he can't remember how to make it stop. And he sees he's about to go over the cliff. He's about to die. So he calls out like every good Jew, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And just then, it grinds to a halt at the very end of the cliff. He goes, oh, Baruch Hashem. Anyhow, so we're talking about over here where the horse follows verbal commands. So if I have the horse carry something through the public domain, even if it's not my horse, right? But I'm having it carry through the public domain, which is one of the 39. So I have it do that. I instruct this horse, it's not mine, an animal, it's not mine, not a horse. animal that's not mine to do that, and it does it, I'm over on Shvitat Behema. However, according to the Pnei Yehoshua, if it's carrying something that is equally heavy, or even far heavier, but it's carrying it in the private domain, then it's not a transgression. It's not a problem. Shvitas Behema is only those 39 creation acts that are prohibited. And that includes carrying in the public domain. Carrying in private domain is not a problem.
So that would answer my question.
Or the case of a horse carrying a person on Shabbos, right? The Rambam, it seems, wasn't bothered by that, right? Because the Chai is nosei et atzmo. If it's carrying a saddle in the public domain upon which this Chai, this person is riding, that then would be an issue. Yes, Steve?
There's a different issue of Gezerah about not horseback riding because of breaking off a branch.
That's not an issue of Shvitas Behema. That's an issue for the jockey.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not an issue for the animal or for the owner of the animal. Okay?
But
Oh, I also just want to mention that Linda is right now, I believe right now, either undergoing, right? Yeah. So let's our learning be for a successful surgery, a refuah shlema, for Chava, Leah, Bas, Fega, Miriam.
Right.
Okay. So now, that is the opinion of the Pnei Yehoshua, yes.
so a bareback rider, public domain is okay, according to...
According to a bareback rider, public domain, it would seem it's not a doraita, it's not a Torah prohibition. So according to the Pnei Yehoshua, that would be okay. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan, which I have for you in Hebrew, I apologize, not in English, but I'll translate it. The Aruch HaShulchan, you've all heard of the Shulchan Aruch, right, which is the code of Jewish law. One of a later individual wrote what's called the Aruch HaShulchan, which is similar to the Mishnah Brura, written by the Chafetz Chaim, in that he breaks it down and goes through the halachot as they apply very much to more. He brings together many different opinions and helps us reach a clearer consensus.
Well, this, I could see from the one law, the one principle, that makes sense, I guess. But it still doesn't resonate. And I know you said we can't make up like we on Tuesday, but given that on Shabbat we can't even kill any animal for the sanctity and for since it represents the day of creation, or like that for an inanimate object we cover the challah. So to make an animal carry all that weight on Shabbat from a different principle, isn't that...
Look, I can also carry a lot of weight on Shabbos. It's not breaking Shabbos.
Oh,
I could spend the whole day hoisting my couch on my back and going up and down the steps,
but it's not,
and I haven't broken Shabbos.
It's not really with the sanctity, is it?
Look, we're talking over here breaking of Shabbos.
Okay.
Right? There is Kol Shomer Shabbos, Kol Makadei Shvi'i Karoi, all those who will sanctify the seventh day as it deserves, as it is deserving, and then Kol Shomer Shabbos Kadas Michalalo, and there's keeping the Shabbos so as to not desecrate it.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see the Aruch HaShulchan. Yesh mi shomer. There are those that say the sheyirkov ha'akum, that if a non-Jew is riding on the animal of a Yisroel, and probably the reason why he's mentioning the non-Jew is because, as Steve mentioned, right, a Jew shouldn't be riding because there's a rabbinic concern. But if a non-Jew rides on the animal of a Jew, belonging to a Jew, ein lahakpid, there is nothing to be concerned about. Why? Ki chai nosei et atzmo, because it's not going to be one of the 39. Because a chai, a living person, carries himself. Ach yesh lahakpid ala okaf. The only concern would be the saddle that is beneath the rider. Shetachad harochev. or to go outside of the tchum, outside of the boundaries wherein one is allowed to go, that would be asur. But if it's not going to be a Torah prohibition of one of the 39 creation activities, then it's not going to be an issue. V'lo nehira klal. And the Aruch HaShulchan writes, I don't see that, I don't agree with that at all. Sharei al kol panim hi mitzta'eret. Right? It's certainly going to be causing tsar, anguish. It's not going to be a day of rest for this animal. And according to the Mechilta, which is a medrash that we brought before, Isur Gomerhu, it's an absolute prohibition. There he talks about, he said, I might think that since my animal can't do any of the malachot, right, anything that's usher to me, it can't do, right, so I shouldn't let my cows graze, because I can't pull grass out of the ground. So the Mechilta says in Mishpatim, Laman yanuach shorch b'chamarecha, they're supposed to rest. Right? If I'm going to lock it up in the house so it can't graze, that's not a restful Shabbos for it. That is tsar. So, and the parameters are that I can't have it doing malacha for me that is usher for me to do. But what it wants to do on its own free time, right, I'm not going to have to speak to the cow about that. Okay? So he says, according to the Mechilta, clearly we want it to be a day of nayach, a day of resting, right? A pleasurable day. Now, you might say, but look, the Rambam, as we saw before in Halacha Dalid, the Rambam, Maimonides, allowed the sale of the horse. Why are you allowing the sale of the horse? Well, why don't we allow the sale of the ox? What's our concern? Because if I sell, then I might also come to lend or rent my ox, and then he's going to work with it on Shabbos. But the horse I can sell. So we understood, and the way the Pnei Yeshua understood, you can sell the horse, because even if I would come to lend or rent the horse, it's not going to be a problem, even if he uses it on Shabbos. Why is it not a problem to use it on Shabbos? Because a living person, a chai, carries itself. So from the Rambam, again, it seemed clear from the Rambam that if it's not malacha, even though it's exertion, for example, giving a bareback ride on the horse giving a bareback ride, right? So he wants to say that it is prohibited. Now, again, let's go step by step. According to the Rambam, it seems that it might be that it's mutter, it's allowed. Why? Because we said you can't sell an ox. Why can't you sell an ox? Lest you'll come to lend or rent. And what's the problem if I lend or rent the ox?
But it's still yours.
It's still mine, and it'll work on Shabbos. So let's go put into reverse now. So I can sell the horse. So I'm not concerned if I lend or rent the horse. Because I'm not concerned that he'll ride the horse on Shabbos. And if he rides the horse on Shabbos, it's not a problem because a living person carries himself. So you see, it seems from the Rambam against what the Aruch HaShulchan is saying now. Because he's saying that even riding the horse bareback is going to be a problem because let old Betsy rest a little bit over there, right? Loan Yanuach is supposed to rest. It's not supposed to be, right? So he says that's not going to be an issue. You can't compare this with what the Rambam wrote. Why? There, it's a double concern. There, he's not saying you're allowed to ride the horse. He's saying we'll let you sell. Why? Because it was a two-step removed concern. Why would you say not to sell? Don't sell lest you'll come to lend rent. Don't lend rent lest he'll come to do it on Shabbos. So therefore, over here where it's a little bit minimized, where the issue is somewhat minimized, that a chai, a living person, a living being carries itself. So there, we're not going to make this two-step prohibition, because A might lead to B and B might lead to C, when C itself is minimized because the living being carries itself. So you can't, he says, learn from the Rambam that it's allowed, but all we know is that it's somewhat minimized, and therefore we're not going to do a double-step precautionary prohibition. But don't mistakenly infer from there that it is allowed. There, the whole thing was a concern, a worry. Mishum nisyone samach lashkia, right? Or nisyone samach lashkia. It'll work on Shabbos. Or as I'm showing how it works so well, I might give some instructions to my animal close to Shkia, close to sunset, close to the onset of Shabbos, and then my animal is working on Shabbos because of my instructions. As we learn in Lifnei Eden, it's a parak in Avodah Zarah. And therefore, this concern we're not going to have when the end prohibition is a somewhat minimized prohibition, but not to say that it's allowed. Okay. But to allow it to ride is vadai asur. That, he says, is certainly prohibited.
Also, realistically, if you did lend or rent to a Gentile, they would most likely not ride bareback. They wouldn't put a saddle.
Okay. Yeah. Steve.
What if you have a cute little Shetzel?
What's that? A sheep. Sorry.
That has a damaged leg, and you put it on the horse to take it somewhere within a neighborhood.
That would be a chai nosei atzmo. That would be the same idea. Anything living. Yeah.
I'm a little confused. I'm not very legal about all these things. You said the horse is okay, but the ox is not.
1 second. The horse is less of an issue than an ox.
But you can lend a horse who can then pull a wagon, who can then transport people on Shabbat.
Yeah, but the horse is normally used, at least then, the horse is normally used for a person riding on it.
No, but we read stories all the time in the old country, the horse was always pulling carts.
So the issue that we're discussing, though, right, so that which is, it's not a beast of burden as much as the others.
Okay.
Let's come now to American Pharoah. Let's come now to our case. What does horse racing involve? Okay, let's analyze it in terms of shvisas behemto, which is your animal resting, and mechamer. Mechamer is directing the animal. Now, it was a Jewish-owned animal. Was it a Jewish jockey?
No.
Even though I saw reportedly that he went to 770 in Crown Heights to get a blessing from the late Lubavitcher Rebbe. That I'm sorry?
You went to the kever.
Oh, you went to the kever. He went to the kever. He went to the grave site of the late Lubavitcher Rebbe, that he should, I guess, use his heavenly connections to make one horse run faster than another horse. I remember even as a teenager, when I would daven and ask God that the Knicks should win, I always felt a little bit silly. But this is not all that important, is it? Maybe this is not what I should be asking God about. Right. Anyhow, the jockey, even though he went to the kever, he went to the gravesite of the late Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? But he's not Jewish. Therefore, mechamer, the fact that he is directing this animal, right, throughout the race, that is what he gets paid serious money to do, right? That is not going to be an issue. If the jockey is Jewish, then it could be a problem. It probably would be a problem of mechamer, of directing the animal, regardless of who owns the animal. Now, if the horse is owned by a Jew, then we could be getting into this concept of shvitat behema, that my animal is supposed to be resting. And it's not resting. It is racing at breakneck speed, along with quite a few other thoroughbred horses, for 1.5 miles, right? That is not resting. So it's working really hard. That's not resting. According to which opinion is that going to be a problem? That is a problem according to the Aruch HaShulchan, who disagreed with the Pnei Yoshua and said the prohibition is not limited to the 39 creation activities, but stressing it out, it's not nayach, it's not resting, it's not a restful state for it. So whether according to Aruch HaShulchan, right, whether or not it's one of those 39 creative activities, going on a horse, absolutely usher, even though a living person carries himself, it's making it work. It might not be, if you look at it in a very, very cold cut, detached manner, is it one of the 39? It's not one of the 39. But is the animal resting? No. So as he said, according to the Mechilta, according to the Aruch HaShulchan, it's a problem. How about according to the Pnei Yehoshua? Is it doing malacha?
No.
Is it doing the 39 malachot?
Is there an error?
Well, so let's go through. Okay? So, is it carrying?
No.
Why no?
It has a saddle, so it is.
Okay, there's a saddle. The person riding on it, is not going to be an issue in terms of a Torah prohibition. Right?
Right.
Okay. Now, so a horse running, let's go step by step. A horse running, is that malacha?
No.
That's not malacha. Okay, according to Bnei Yoshua, that's only the 39 creation activities. Is a horse running malacha? A horse running is not malacha. Is it? Let me go step by step. Is it carrying a rider? Is that a problem in our Torah?
No.
That's not a problem in our Torah. A living being, a living thing carries itself to a certain degree. The saddle and the other gear, that is going to be a malacha of carrying, but that's only if the raceway is a public domain. If the raceway is not a public domain, it's a private domain,
That changes.
I imagine there were some gates set up that people couldn't just meander in without a ticket of some sort in order to watch that. Now, some of you brought up about, is there an Eruv, right? Is it a halachic Eruv? Now, in addition to the Eruv that we know, which is, here we use the wall of the freeway, and we use different strings that going from lamppost to lamppost. In addition to that, we also have in my office food for the community. So we have one central eating place, right? And I dedicate on behalf of the entire community for the Eruv. That's why we have an Eruv in camp. So there we need to make sure that it's properly enclosed. But we already have a central eating place. A camp has the dining room. Everyone eats there. So you don't need to dedicate a box of matzah of any sort in such a way. Right? Now, granted over there, I don't think, though it's in New York, you never know, but I don't think the Belmont racetrack has a proper halachic Eruv and a box of matzah sitting in the main office there. But nevertheless, it's not a Torah Reshut Harabim. That's for sure. It's not a it's thoroughbred, but not a thoroughfare, right? And it's not a Reshut Harabim. And therefore, this would also not be according to Aruch HaShulchan. It's strenuous activity. It's working hard. It's a problem of shvitat behema. The issue of mechamer directing a non-Jewish jockey, so you have no problem of mechamer. In terms of the animal working, right, sweating away, exerting itself, according to the Aruch HaShulchan, that is a problem. According to the Pnei Yehoshua, it would seem there is no clear breach of any of the 39 creation activities, and therefore it would not be a problem, according to Bnei Yeshua, of Shvitas Behema. Yeah.
Okay, so but isn't the Jewish person not supposed to direct or provide the salary for a non-Jew to?
Okay.
And so that's one thing. And then the other thing is maybe running for the horse, since they are thoroughbreds, and maybe running is joyous, even though it's exertion. So it might actually be something the horse would be prone to do.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
On their own.
Right? That even according to the Aruch HaShulchan, right? Born to run. Right? I don't know. I'm not sure. It would be kind of hard to find out.
So even though...
Excuse me, Mr. American Pharaoh.
No,
what are your feelings about this?
So then,
right? Do you love the challenge? Do you relish this? Or is this something you consider a chore?
Even though it wasn't this really laid-back rest, maybe...
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Because those...
Right, perhaps going to the Aruch HaShulchan, right? This is what a thoroughbred is born to do and loves to do. Interesting. Okay, let's touch on one more topic, though, that is relevant. Well, there is Schar Shabbos, which is payment for work being done on Shabbos. One is not supposed to get paid for work that is done on Shabbos. However, there is a concept called Havla'ah. Havla'ah is co-joining or literally swallowing up. Meaning, I get paid a salary. A big chunk of my work is done on Shabbos. Right? My kids joke that their dad works on Saturday. Right? A big chunk of my work is done on Shabbos. But even that which I do on Shabbos, I prepare during the week, and I get paid for what I do during the week. So therefore, I'm not getting paid for Shabbos. I'm being paid for a block of time. And that block of time, being that it includes non-Shabbos and Shabbos days, it's not going to be an issue. If I rent my car to a non-Jew for a week, and I say I'm charging $100 a day, so then I can collect at the end of a week $700. I'm getting paid for Shabbos? No. It's Havlah. It is co-joined with all of, with the payment for Sunday through Friday, and therefore it's not going to be a problem. Now, okay. Now, over here, the race and the winnings, you might want to argue, but it's not. I don't think it can be. I don't think the argument will work. Now, let's say I hire someone to lane for us on Shabbos. That's being done on Shabbos. How can we pay someone to lane for us on Shabbos? Well, it takes preparation time, right? It prepares during the week. So once again, we have Havlah. You hire a caterer to do work on Shabbos. Well, there's preparation before Shabbos. There's cleanup after Shabbos. So once again, there is this Havlah that goes on. So now, here the winnings. Now you might say, are you kidding? Do you know how much preparation it took to get this horse ready for a Triple Crown, ready for the Belmont? Right? It wasn't only preparing on Shabbos. It took loads of preparation. So you might want to say that the winnings get spread out. But that's problematic. Because if you win, you get all the money. If you lose, you get none of the money, regardless of how much. So it's a bit of a stretch to say that the winnings that come in are not just for Shabbos, but it's for all the hard work and training and expenses that went in to prepare us for this amazing moment in sports. So that prize money is seemingly problematic, that we can't get away with viewing it as Havlah, as by co-joining it with the other work and expenditures that went in, not on Shabbos. However, a Jew is allowed to partner with a non-Jew under the understanding, the stipulation, that the Shabbos money goes to the non-Jew. The Shabbos money goes to the non-Jew, and the rest of the week they could adjust it that will go to the Jew. Now, any top thoroughbred horse is not owned by one individual. right? He has a corporation known as Zayat Stables LLC. Okay? It is Zayat Stables that is the owner of American Pharoah. Now, assuming that there are non-Jewish investors who have significant shares in the corporation, then it's very possible that such an arrangement was made with the horse racing corporation. That money from certain prizes will go to the non-Jewish partners, and he'll take his share from other revenues that are not conflicting with Shabbos. Again, I'm not ruling on Mr. Zayat. I'm not speaking of Mr. Zayat. I'm sure he asked his questions. I know that they had a whole Shabbos at a nearby hotel, so they were able to have Shabbos and not drive over, right? But make their way over to see this, to see their horse in this historic issue.
And at the Kentucky Derby, they had a trailer at the racing course.
Nice. Okay, now one last issue, which could be an issue, is called Marit Ayin. And that is the appearance of how something looks. There's a halacha that if you're walking home and you get drenched from the rain, right? Hashem by us, right? You get drenched by some rain, you shouldn't take off your wet clothing and hang it on the line, right? Because it'll look awfully similar to that what happened?
You did the laundry.
You did your laundry, right? So you don't want to do things. When I grew up in Forest Hills, and there's a big street to cross, Queens Boulevard, which is known as Death Alley. It's really very tragic. It's 12 lanes. Right, this is right in a residential area. It's 12 lanes with these different islands. You have 2 lanes and an island and 3 lanes, or maybe 10 lanes. It's quite a large thoroughfare. And Rahman al-San, there have been many fatalities there. So something that I would do, which made it very easy, was you get into this. There's a subway stop right over there, so you can go in. You go down to the subway, walk along, and then go out of the subway without ever entering into the subway area. But there was a passageway under the road, so it's a very simple way to cross Queens Boulevard without having to worry about red lights and getting stuck in the middle in the traffic. But on Shabbos, better not to do that, because someone sees you going down to the subway, right? They're not going to assume you're taking a safe cut or avoiding Queens Boulevard, but it sure looks like you're going to the subway, so most people go down. So there's a concept of Marit Ayin, that not to do things that are technically permitted, but it appears that this work is being done, something being done incorrectly, either by a Jew or on a Jew's behalf, right? So therefore, over here, the Marit Ayin issue, it would seem would be an issue. So just to review, the 4 issues we had over here was directing the animal to do malacha, and that's not a problem because it's a non-Jewish jockey. There is the animal resting, which according to Bnei Yoshua we could say is not creation activities. According to Aruch HaShulchan, it would seem to be problematic, but Jana made a nice point. If the animal loves to run, right, so then that might not be considered a lack of the nayach that the Mechilta spoke about. There is the Schar Shabbos aspect, and we showed how Havlav is probably not going to be relevant here, co-joining and saying that it's spread out over the weekday. But if there are different partners involved, then there are halachic ways of structuring such a partnership to avoid there being a problem of Schar Shabbos. And then there is the issue of Marit Ayin, that it doesn't look, even if certain steps were taken to structure it in a way that it's not an actual desecration of Shabbos or Schar Shabbos, but nevertheless, all those who are not aware of all of those steps that might have been taken, so it doesn't look quite as kosher as we might have hoped. Yes, Steve?
you might not want to go into this now, that's okay, but with Marasayan, where do you draw the line? You know, a person has an urgent need to go to the bathroom, so he runs into a McDonald's and uses their bathroom, comes out. Somebody's going to see him. Oh, he must have eaten in McDonald's. You know, that's Marasayan.
Okay.
So how far do you extend it?
You know, there's also covered habrios, right? You know, human dignity. You know, if that's the only place to go, right? And considering the alternatives, I would say, you know, you'd want to go in there, right? If there is somewhere else that one can choose, then one would choose that. If it's not a dire situation, you know, I think there's a certain shikol hadas, you know, a certain, you know, common sense, which you say is not quite so common, right? But common sense, right? You know, would have to dictate that.
It depends.
You know, at the risk of correcting you,
Yes.
it may be that there's an answer for Marasayan, but we just don't have it.
Yeah. But that's almost an oxymoron.
I see.
Right? Because
I see. Yes,
you know,
of
if it
course.
appears a certain way, right? But I don't know what's really happening. But that's almost the definition of Marasayan.
Good one. You got me.
Yes, Janet.
I
was gonna say, yes, Zach?
To let everybody know, he went to such great lengths to let everybody know that he was showing up in a halachically accepted way, the trailer and all that.
Yeah.
So I think the Ryan situation is a bit muddled in his favor.
Okay. Zach is making an interesting point. Right? He made a point of making it known that he arrived there in a perfectly Shabbos permissible fashion. So he certainly went, you know, to great lengths. No pun intended about the horse race. To great lengths to try to minimize, you know, any issue of Maris Ayin that's at play. I hear that. Okay, my friends. Yashikoach. We'll quote over here, and then you guys have your benching.
So we don't need a gallop for.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Zach. I'll speak to you soon.